I'll call this meeting of the Neighborhood Planning Commission or Plan Commission Committee to order. Sorry, tongue twister. First off, we have a roll call. Dylan, please.
Yes. Bernal,
Ooh,
Here.
Grab, Elliot Bahinui,
Here.
Knight, Smith,
Here.
Gabriel had to leave, Tony Naka. Here. For quorum chair.
Thank you. As Dylan said, Chair Larry Veroy was here and unfortunately got called out due to an emergency. So he had to leave, and just so everyone knows. First off, I didn't really discuss about the time limit and policies. I guess it's just an issue or just a reminder that for all the speakers, please raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, and there's a 2-minute limit on speaking. And whether we have repetitive speaking for every issue, we just have to see how the time flows, how the meeting flows, and that's the chair, call of the chair. I would ask that all participants online, please identify yourself, and I see everybody has done that, so that's good. Thank you very much. And for all those in person, one, I'm sure he signed in, so thank you very much. Roll call. Okay, we already did the roll call. I'm sorry. There was an announcement, the Toys for Tots. I don't know if Lloyd wants to make that.
Yeah. We're part of the effort to raise to gather some toys for young people, and we have a drive going on now at Toys for Tots, and you can bring your toys to any meeting. You can bring it down to the office here. Looking for everyone's support as we try to make Christmas a little bit brighter for some of the young people in our life.
Thank you. I will note, I read something interesting online. I thought it was a great observation, and that was someone said, due to the economic circumstances, a lot of people, they buy their kids Christmas toys and such, and then they go through their closet and get rid of things after the holidays. This year, it might be a good idea if the parents could maybe think about doing that beforehand so that everybody can have a good Christmas.
Great idea.
Thank you. With that, we have our approval of our Monday, October 20th minutes. We've distributed our written summary. Does anyone want to offer any corrections or amendments? Hearing none, we will adopt as distributed. Thank you very much. So moving on to our new business, we have our final review and vote on the committee's complaint procedure proposal. I will say that's what it's entitled on our agenda. However, we have kind of modified that in the sense that we're not going to take a final vote. I did have an opportunity to have a pretty extended meeting with Kevin Lai, who very graciously did a lot of work, pointing out a lot of things he liked corrected. Some of the things we didn't agree on, I thought was a different vision of the commission or committee, but he made some very, very good observations. So if I could ask the committee's indulgence, since we have waited this long, to let me keep it up with him. I saw Kevin online, but I know he's traveling, so it's probably very difficult for him to participate. Oh, there he goes. Well, anyway, thank you. So I do want to say, Kevin, he's really done a lot of work, and he made some great observations. So I would like to get more of a chance to go through everything. We spent 2.5 hours last week going over stuff, but he's overseas, and so he put a lot of time. I'd just like to complete that. And with his observations, I would like to maybe suggest a couple changes here, here and there. So with that said, and also maybe a chance, and Tom and I haven't had a chance to speak, and I would love to hear his thoughts, but it's a really deep dive. If anybody else would like to do that with me, and as everybody probably knows, I was chair of the committee before, so I really took this part on. Larry will probably do the rest from here on out, but for the complaints chapter, I've kind of kept with all the revisions. So please let me know if you have any very, very specific types of issues you want to cover. With that said, and I will say before we close on the subject, I do want to very quickly talk about some of the changes. We incorporated the NCO procedure. Tom, did you want to say something before we get there, or do you want to go ahead?
Just very, very general. Chair, I look forward to having a more detailed discussion. I have a few cleanups which are largely drafting or whatever,
Okay.
really not substantive, but some language things in a few places, whatever. But also wish to note that in the minutes, and I really just want to make a quick comment on the minutes, that the amount of material that is included in there in the shortness of the minutes is awesome. So the summary from the last meeting was very, very helpful, even for today. But in this respect, there are several representations in the last meeting minutes of my incorporating or doing some other draft work or whatever. In essence, you were able to do a couple of short things that kind of dealt with the NCO kind of proposal and stuff. So I think the brevity that is there provides that additional means of perhaps going to the boards in certain circumstances, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I look forward to more detailed discussion that is kind of more technical than it is substantive at this point for at least what I was working off of the October 27th draft.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, if most of it's just technical, that I hope that would be okay for most people. But what I would say is, so we can meet, we can come up with a draft or modify it with the technical issues, and we can bring that back at our next meeting. And if the committee and members of the public are okay, we can maybe send it out, or we can say, okay, this is really our final draft, and then actually approve it at our subsequent meeting. And we can play that by ear and see how it goes. But I want to thank you. You and Kevin have been tremendously helpful with all the other committee members. Thank you. So I do want to talk a little bit, just a moment about the draft. I think up online was the October 27th. There is, I do have a slightly amended version, and that is just to remove all the additions, but I don't know if it had the incorporation of the NCO proposal, and that is, did it have the 218 101C5 where it says refer? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And also, did I incorporate the H, which is actually, so that's the referral to the neighborhood boards? Okay, good. Okay, well then I just wanted everyone to see that. And then also there was a slight modification to M, which includes unless a party opts to receive communications by email. Okay, so all that was included. I think I just cleaned up the language and I have a slightly cleaner version, but it's not any substantive changes. Also, I will let you know that there is a slight oddity to these. I think in that one included, there are different word processing programs that we're using. So some of the words got merged together. Yeah. And in this version, I kind of fixed all those errors. Those weren't really what we approved. They just, it's because of different programs were used. And so just so everybody knows. Okay, with that said, the chair, Larry Veray, did want to start sending out this proposal to each of the boards themselves. I did ask him, and we talked right before the meeting, I did suggest that he let everyone know it's still a draft. I think it's very close, but it's not a done proposal, and that's just the committee itself, not the full commission. But this, I think, is really good step to kind of get the committee, all the boards. It gives them knowledge of what we're doing and, an update, and it'll provide them, I think, a really, really solid between our approval in the committee and then going to the commission will give them a really good opportunity to weigh in on something that has impact on all the boards. So that's the plan. I'm sorry, I did a lot of talking. Is there anybody that would like to ask a question or make a comment?
I just want to thank both Tom and Kevin again for their generous time.
Yeah, both are.
Yeah, done a lot of work. So thank you both. Thanks.
Okay, so no questions about the complaint proposal at this time. As I said, we'll revisit this next month and hopefully with a little few additions and go from there. Tom?
Just quick comment. I let Larry know before the meeting started. On the agenda, it's indicated that the next meeting would be January 19, which unfortunately is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So whether at the end of this meeting you move forward a week or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, thank you. Yeah, he let me know that. So we're going to talk about it at the very end, but I appreciate
But with that, in essence, I would encourage that if we can get even the draft out to get the ball rolling with the boards, because it always takes a lot of time. And then follow it up with the cleaner draft, if you will, since we're beginning to hit the holidays and all that stuff.
Okay.
Thanks.
So there is, essentially, it will be the draft. It's the October draft with a lot of the punctuation cleaned up and then removal of the highlights, most of the highlights. The only highlights I left were those three items which were reflected. I'll probably remove that to send out to the board too, so it'll be a clean version. And then I can also send out, like you created that table. I guess we can also do all the flow charts and stuff. I don't know if we want to overwhelm them. I'll let Larry make kind of a decision as to how much information.
Quick comment, I would say send out just the clean draft so it reads easier. Because where we were a couple months ago when I did the side by side was for the simplicity, if you will, of having everything in front of you.
Right,
But it is not a Ramsair.
right.
And it wasn't intended to be, but at some point, we're gonna have to do the Ramsair. So I would just hold off on that.
Okay.
Just the clean version for discussion at this point.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of the information would be overwhelming. I think people would look at all that and just be like, what in the world? So, okay. So that's what I'll suggest to Larry but he'll do that just to let everybody know. I think that's all I have for then that document or the chapter 18, the complaints procedure. So we can move on. The proposal for the neighborhood plan committee to conduct, oh, well, that's what we just talked about. I'm sorry, the outreach.
No,
Oh, these are the boundary changes. I apologize, you're right. Well, I didn't really talk to Larry about what his plans were. I guess as I think well, let me step back. There was a request to modify one board's boundaries. However, I don't, as I recall, believe that was an official request from their board. Is that what you wanted?
Oh,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
there's been no official request that the board has adopted,
Yeah,
or both boards have maybe adopted. But I did speak with Larry last week, with the agenda. And this was simply giving him permission, I think, to, send a message out to all the boards and say, hey, if you were thinking about any boundary changes, now is the time to put them in writing and send them to us.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah.
like to get basically all at one time, get a call for it from any neighborhood board who wants to.
yeah, I know we had talked about it and it does seem, we obviously have to do it on a coordinated basis because it's like a ripple effect. Everything will have an impact on the next board.
And that's why it's best to ask everyone at once. and
Right,
gather
okay.
ideas.
So, okay, well, Jacob, I'll go ahead and hear from you. Jacob Weinsick, go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the time to speak. I just want to say that, I'm not sure what the situation is for other boards under the neighborhood board system, but if we're looking at changing boundaries, excuse me, I would very much appreciate if we kept Waikiki's boundaries the same. It makes sense for our little peninsula type deal. So the current boundaries work fine here. And if other boards need it, by all means, do what you got to do. But do request that Waikiki remain unmodified.
Thank you. We're not really going to take the request right now, just so you know, because we are aware of some of the board's requests, but we want to do that kind of holistically. So I would say that if anybody wants to make a comment,
So I think,
go ahead.
interrupt, sorry, Jacob, the point is that we've gotten some requests to change board boundaries. We're not advocating for any board to change boundaries, but some boards are interested. But in order to be completely fair and open, we should contact all of the boards and let them know. Thanks, Jacob, but point well taken. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think next up we had Malia Augustin. Augustin. Go ahead, please.
Aloha, Malia from the Nanakuli Ma'ili Neighborhood Board. I'm the chair. Thank you for having this on the agenda. This topic specifically affects our district because the boundary previously the boundary used to cover Ko'olina. We're Nanakuli Ma'ili, and Ko'olina highly impacts our district. And previously, they used to have to show to our board when major hotels were being installed or changes were being made. And anybody with the area code, it actually belongs to Kapolei. So I think that's where there's a lot of confusion. And so recently, in the past 3 to 4 years, they've been going to Kapolei board and getting approvals from Kapolei board. When prior to that, they would need to get approval from our board because everything that gets installed in Kapolei, it doesn't impact installed at Ko'olina, it doesn't impact Kapolei. And so on top of that, we have our representative Darius Kila and our senator Samantha DeCourt, who and our council member Andrea Tupola. They all oversee Ko'olina area, and there's no overlap into Kapolei with the representatives. And so I think with that being said, there's big challenges that we're facing. They've had the Cove redevelopment project. They're talking about Atlantis. They had previously when the Aulani Disney Resort was being built, they had to come to our board. But now Ko'olina is not coming to our board. There's no representative from Ko'olina that's coming. So that was just a concern for our board, and I'm hoping that we could address that with the boundaries being clarified as to match the representatives with the district.
Thank you. Well, as I said, Larry Veray, this committee's chair, will be reaching out, assuming there's no objection. I should have asked for the committee members to say, but assuming there's no objection, Larry Veray will be reaching out to the boards. I'm sure he'll probably want, if everybody remembers, I think the county reached out to all the boards about the dog parks. It'll probably be a very similar procedure where I ask, hey, you know, what each of the board's thoughts are, and maybe then we'll probably likely ask for some formal action from the boards, just to give us a very formal knowledge, you know, some information to go on.
Just a couple of things. Thanks, Malia. Appreciate that input. A couple of things I would recommend. First of all, I'll call Larry because I'd like to see what goes out to the boards before it goes out. Because we need to be very clear in our ask or what we're trying to do so people don't get confused. Because I don't want people to think we're dictating or recommending that they change their boundaries. And people sometimes will say, oh, what? They want us to change our boundaries. So I'll work with Larry directly on that. The second thing is we need, because this is a very, unlike the dog, well, I shouldn't say unlike the dog parks. I know you guys that support dog parks, but unlike the dog parks, this has the potential to be very divisive for some boards. Because some people like, you know, Jacob's very happy, but maybe there's somebody on the Waikiki board that thinks it should be changed, for example. So one of the things I do want to make sure is that this information doesn't just go to the chairs, but also gets down into all of the board members. So there's complete transparency and nobody comes back later and says, well, I didn't know about this. You know, this is one of those big issues that you really want to make sure everyone knows about. I don't think most boards are going to do anything about it, but we don't want somebody to come back later and say, well, why didn't you tell us?
Yeah, I think that is certainly the sentiment, and what we want to do is to bring it in front of the whole board.
Yeah.
And even then, it's kind of a long process because if one board wants to make a change, but a neighboring board doesn't, then that's a whole nother issue. So, and then there may have to be some changes in big areas like Eva. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I don't see this as as limited as I thought the complaints chair
Yeah.
chapter would be. I think this is actually a big endeavor
And
that
Claire,
does need to be done. Yeah. Claire, go ahead. Claire Santos.
Hello, thank you, Chair. As you well know, I'm one of the advocates. I was the proponent to have Puawana or Punch Bowl reunited under one neighborhood board and did meet with the two boards trying to get consensus. But I'm no longer serving on my neighborhood board. So when you put these things out, could you please consider that it becomes an agenda item so the community can participate in discussion? Because I'm not on the board anymore to, get things going.
Okay, well, it should, if the boards are going to discuss it, they have to put it on their agenda. So it will be on the agenda of each particular board when they bring it up. So everybody should know that you can sign up to get the board agendas emailed to you and clarity. So it's right on the website. So if you want to do that and get, like, for in your instance, 14 and 12.
Oh, I already have all of that happening. I
Okay, well
just
then,
want to be sure it's a point of discussion in a formal fashion.
it absolutely will. It absolutely.
Okay, thank
Actually,
you.
Claire brings up an excellent point, because remember, the chairs get to decide the agenda. And if you get a chair that decides, I'm not going to put this on the agenda because I don't think it's important, or I don't want to discuss it. And I think maybe this is one of those times where we say,
Yeah.
as a favor to the commission, can you just put this on the agenda? It may be a 2-minute discussion for your board. It could be a bigger discussion, but if we really want to be, again, transparent, and to Claire's point, make sure that it actually gets put on an agenda and discussed publicly, then I think we have to take a little bit more of this isn't optional type of approach. And I don't normally support that. I'm very much about the board should be able to choose their own items for discussion. But if the goal of the commission is to make sure that we're getting everything in at one time and there's no stragglers, you might want to consider that. So,
Well, I mean, certainly we'll keep track of all the boards. And if they don't, we can always go to public concerns and raise the issue to the board. But yes, I mean, I would hope that all the chairs would be cooperative. But if they're not, one way or another, and I know in that case it wouldn't be on the agenda,
There's
one way or
laughing.
another. One way or another, it will, I feel confident that every board will have an opportunity, or every board community will have an opportunity to weigh in. And I'd be most disappointed if we have to kind of assert ourselves to have to do that, because this is such a fundamental issue to each of the boards.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well,
Um,
the point of the board is the community participation part. So I want to ensure
Right.
that participation occurs and it's not
No,
just a
that's-
board thing. Yeah.
So noted, Claire. Thank you. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Chair.
we're
Thank you.
We're definitely help make sure that happens.
Get Malia had, what's it?
Malia, did you have a follow-up that you wanted to make real quick?
Yes, I do have a request for the commission office if with the record of when a board was established, when those parameters had changed, if there's any way that we can work with you folks to be transparent in the processes of the boundaries and how they were established. And the reason I ask is because I want to know when our district parameters had changed.
Sorry, what's the board number? 24?
36.
36, not a.
36?
Yes.
Well, you can go to chapter 16 in the neighborhood plan, and I can tell you right now, your board, oh, this is not right. It says January 28, 2008. I guess there was a change. So
Yeah.
maybe that was a change.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'd have to go back to other sources to tell when it was initially done.
You'd have to look at when Kapolei was established too as a neighborhood
Yeah.
board.
Actually,
Right,
most of those I did look, and it was back in 1978 or
Yeah.
thereabouts, but I guess
Not
some
not
were
included.
actually updated.
And I have one more comment.
Go ahead.
On our agenda for our neighborhood board, we have a map that shows our boundary. And I went to look at if Kapolei had a map to show their boundary, and their agenda doesn't show. So I just want to be, if that request could be made to the other chairs, that every neighborhood board agenda should include the parameters map, so that the public knows where they stand and what agenda, how that applies to them. So that's just a recommendation I have. Thank you so much.
If you could email us, just like with a list of like your asks, and then so that way we can get a better idea, like specifically, like about what boundary questions you have and stuff, and we can start working with you on that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. If you'd lower your hands, I see Claire has her hand up, but I'm assuming you left it up. Just so we get them all clear. And then I see Jermaine. Jermaine, please go ahead. Jermaine Myers.
Mahalo, Chair. I'm echoing what Malia. I'm sorry. My name is Jermaine Myers. I'm the Nanakuli Maili Neighborhood Board member. I'm echoing my chair, Malia Augustin, what she stated, which I missed most of it. I got on late. I'm sorry, but that to expand the boundaries of our neighborhood board to include Kapolei, which is the same as our Senator District 22 and District 44 as far as representative. I've been on the neighborhood board since 2017. And so I had the personal experience of Ko'olina being included in our district when I started in 2017. And Beta Timpson used to come for Jeff Stone to report activities about Ko'olina. And so it's on our old agendas from 2017, 18, etc. But I don't know when exactly, because I didn't have time to go look when exactly it broke off and it got transferred over to Kapolei. And I was only surprised about it when there were projects that were happening in Kapolei, and I'm wondering, why didn't they come before our board? And then I realized that they were rezoned, and Ko'olina was moved to the Kapolei Makakilo Honokaihale board. We never had Honokaihale and Nanakuli Maili district. We only had Ko'olina because it reflected our Senate district and our representative district 44. And so I'm hoping that the neighborhood commission can restore how Ko'olina was part of our district as far as neighborhood board district, because they impact us as far as traffic. They don't impact Kapolei and Makakilo, but they impact our district as far as the ocean, etc. So I'm hoping that that can happen soon as far as restoring the to our neighborhood board district as far as the mapping zone. Mahalo.
Thank you. I'll just remind everybody, we're just going to send out the initial request right now, or just let people know that we're thinking about it and let the boards know they're thinking about it. So we're very, very early in the process, but we'll take that into account. Thank you very much. Tom, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Brief comment. I almost feel like an arsonist looking on to what I started. The context of my original kind of statement several months ago was to start with the Neighborhood Commission office in the sense of, as you already said, Chair, if something is proposed and adopted through the initiative petition process to change any of the boundaries, then the ripple effect on the elections, et cetera, would have to be worked on. And in that regard, my encouragement is if something is going to go out, that as well, Lloyd, you take a look at some of the deadlines and really already indicate kind of what a semi-drop dead date for proposals might be, exactly because of what any after work would have to be. But the real key here, and for some of those that have commented, again, the ideas in almost all circumstances begin with the communities, not the commission. So this is just that opportunity that if there are any proposals, the commission can actually respond. And if they are adopted, then the NCO can go ahead with the ripple effect. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, I don't expect any of this would be, I don't think there's any foreseeable way any changes could be made before the 2027 election. So I don't think that would be an issue.
But it has to be done before February 27 for filing candidates.
Yeah, I think that would be tremendously optimistic. I don't see that. I think it would be the 2029 election would be the most.
More responsive than that.
I don't think so, but maybe you're right. Well, we'll just have to see and play by ear. I see, Bob Finley. Bob, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Looking at 216, sounds like all these decisions are commission decisions, not board decisions. But having said that, I think the use of the latest determination of how many people actually live in these districts by the census is probably something that the commission should consider. I know, hearing Jacob earlier, we've had very little number changes in ours. I see Michelle Matson, she's had very few changes in her community. So I think this should be basically based on the consent, on the number of people that actually live there. Just as a thought. I know Tom and I discussed this when he was the executive secretary, and we were working very hard on that for the number of boundaries as well as the number of members. So I think that should all be included in the same discussion for probably 2 years down the road, if we really need this many people or we need more people. And if we need the boundaries to be a little bit different. Anyway, just a thought.
Thank you. It does, the plan does speak to considering census blocks when they organized the actual commission boundaries. It is not controlling, just so you know, but it is something that we can look at. I will tell you one of the issues when Claire Santos, I was involved because I was chair of one of the boards involved when she made a request about changing boundaries. The census blocks don't always nicely divide where you want them to divide. They actually do go pretty much in detail, but they're not block by block. So that will be part of the consideration process, but I'm not sure that that the populations will necessarily be the determining factor, simply because to me, it'd be better to keep neighborhoods together as opposed to, ensuring that the population is exactly equal. And it's a lot different when it comes to representation at the House level, be it federal or state. And we don't have those same parameters. Ours is much more about neighborhoods. At least that's my personal perspective. I don't know how the commission will decide, but that is something we will look at. So thank you very much. With that said, is there any, I will ask just formally, do we have any objection for Chair Veray to start reaching out to the boards in this respect?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'll tell him that he has to go ahead. Kathleen, I guess we'll talk to him. I'll talk to him. So, but I think he'll reflect the concerns that we talked about. So thank you very much, everybody. So right now, we will move into the actual review of Chapter 13. Larry did email that out to some people. This is actually from the plan. And I wasn't really prepared to do this, so if I stumble along, I apologize. So I suppose we just will go through what we reasonably can get through tonight, and we will stop at some reasonable point. So with that said, we can start with. We ready? Everybody ready? Okay. We're going to start with 2-13-101. This is the purpose of this plan and the neighborhood boards is to increase and assure the effective citizen participation in the decisions of government. I believe that comes directly from the Charter Commission language. I actually don't really like that. I think that's a little tongue-tied. But anyway, Tom, what would you want to say?
A couple of comments. Thank you, Chair. First, my first comment. It directs to the authority and implementing language at the end, what I'll just call the legislative type notes.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, with what Corporation Council was out of the sponge years ago, was in fact a specific reference. Yes, this is that half sentence from section 14-101 of the charter, and you don't have any reference to section 14-101 in these notes. So I still have aggravations from Corp Council back in the day, because that was contrary to the drafting manual directions. That being said, the purpose takes its exact language from 14-101 of the charter. In some other research that I'm now helping staff at Charter Commission, there are two other places that I would like to look. I don't know that we would change this in any way whatsoever, but both in the preamble and then in another place in Article 1 of the charter are a few other statements that absolutely bolster this statement in 14-101. Article 14 does deal with the neighborhoods and neighborhood boards, but there are a couple other places that very interestingly make strong statements about citizen participation in our county government. So just noting that. Otherwise, the statement still stands on its face because that's what's in our charter, and that being our county constitution, that's our strongest and shortest direction.
Okay. Well, I would just make a broad statement to say that I don't think at this time we really, I'm sorry, that we want to get into the authority for each of these sections, because that gets very technical unless anybody in the community that's online or on any of the committee members wishes to. I think that kind of stuff would probably be best left.
Oh, it's all technical.
Yeah, and it's very technical. Unless there's someone that really wants to be involved in that process, I think we're probably much better off just doing the substantive part. Just so you know, but we greatly appreciate your willingness and your ability to look at those type of issues, because those are very hairy type of issues. So with that said, Lloyd, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're on 213-101 purpose.
Yes.
That's all we're talking about right now. And I'm assuming at this point in this process, we are putting out ideas or thoughts that we may want to look at in terms of any changes. And one of the changes that comes out, it is a thought, but when it comes to, it says assure effective citizen participation in the decisions of government. And to insert one word in there and say county government.
I disagree.
I'm not proposing that. I'm suggesting that as a discussion point. And partly is that, and I understand the agreements and disagreements, but part of it is based on the fact that this system is a county system, derived from the county, supported by the county, and only by the county. And I realize that the effect of our boards in our neighborhoods originally was supposed to be about county decision, basically zoning, land use, and et cetera. So I'm putting that out there because we are used by everybody else for their platform, and state and federal. And I am of the opinion that it really should be a county issue.
Okay.
Again, that's our thoughts.
Yeah, I love you, Lloyd, but I vehemently disagree.
Patrick, I vehemently disagree as well.
I
Hold on,
vehemently
please.
disagree because I go to enough neighborhood boards, and sometimes, you know, we don't have a governor's rep right now, but some of them do. Some of them even have the federal government reps come. And I think given all the things that are happening, especially with the federal shutdown that we just recently have, having those connections to both the federal and the state. I mean, if you end up, we have a lot of state issues where I live, a fair amount. And if we didn't have the access to our state representatives, both the senators and the House, we wouldn't know what was going on half the time. And then we wouldn't also have that opportunity to propose legislation to them and to be able to support that legislation. I think the fact of the boards makes it because we are all encompassing, it gives the community a level of measure of input at every single level that I think is very, very critical. And that's just my personal, and I think especially out in the rural communities, we have a lot of state issues, not just city and county issues. And that would effectively cut us out. Like Kamehameha Highway is a state highway, goes through Malia, right? Germain, they got Farrington. We would not have any input on that if we only were county.
I disagree that you wouldn't have any input. I think they're a state legislature. I think they hold hearings. You can write to their rep, the senator, the governor. So I don't know that if we don't talk about a state issue that you cut off.
But having a board, I can tell you right now, having a board unified on an issue, a state issue, really does make a difference, even at the state level to the state legislators, as much as it does for the county.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, let me go to, Tom, I'll get to you. Let me go online first. Michelle Matson. Michelle, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Sorry, my video isn't working. I'm in San Francisco right now, and it's very cold and very dark, and I can't wait to get back home. I'll be there tomorrow. As usual, the so-called executive secretary continues
Please,
to
now, Michelle,
dilute.
let me break in. Please,
Let me
please be
finish.
personal.
Continues to
Don't be
dilute
disrespectful.
and minimize our neighborhood boards. Our neighborhood boards were formed to provide input as quasi-governmental elected organizations, not subject to an executive secretary or his own personal policies. The situation is that we recommend and advise not only city and county elected officials, but state elected officials as well as federal elected officials who are very important right now in this crisis at the federal level. So please do not dilute our neighborhood boards from our duties. And I am totally in support of all of Kathleen's comments. I wish she were the executive secretary of the neighborhood board.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, but no, thank you. And I appreciate what you're saying, Michelle, but we do want to be respectful of all of us here. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Greg Marsakian. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you. Aloha, everyone. Yeah, I appreciate the reinforcement of the fact that the neighborhood boards are there for a purpose, and it's a very simple purpose: to connect the community to our legislators, our city and county officials, our representatives for all levels. And it's implicit in the way it was set up that it was county and state. So I fully agree with previous comments. I'm not going to go down the other path, but fully agree that we need to keep it that way and maybe make it even more, because I know Michelle mentioned federal, but we do have a governor's representative. But maybe from time to time, what would be really nice is if one of our, I haven't seen it yet at the Waikiki Neighborhood Board or any of the boards actually, but one of our U.S. representatives actually shows up and says a word or two and maybe makes the rounds or sets something up where they can communicate to the masses. But we are islands. We're a smaller community. We're not New York. We're not California. And I think it's important and imperative that we communicate with our representatives, and it's a great venue if it was run properly. And so with that said, I do think there's many things that need to be addressed.
Thank you. Thank you. I would ask Mahea, since she's our other committee person, did you wish to chime in or what your thoughts are? You're still muted. Oh, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Sorry. Oh, yeah, unfortunately we still can't. Now it shows you're muted, so. Okay, well, I have to say, I agree with Kathleen too.
He
So
loves you too, Lloyd.
I do love you, Lloyd, but I sorry.
Feel the love.
I know. Feel the love and respect. So, okay, well,
But thank you, no, thank you for bringing that
No,
up.
I mean,
It's a good point to discuss, thank you.
you're right. And I think it is an excellent way for us to kind of to kind of commit to what we're thinking and that sort of thing. So I'm sorry, Tom, I forgot to call on you. I apologize.
And you can love them too.
From a former executive secretary to you, we're part of that brotherhood, okay? And sisterhood for Joan Mankey and others, okay?
Yeah.
Couple of quick comments. Thank you, Chair. First, understand the sentiment. I get it from a number of people from time to time. But the real key is the original charter amendment as elected by the voters in 1972 included the word city in front of government. And then, I don't have my notes in front of me, but subsequently, city by charter amendment was deleted. Exactly for some of the reasons that Kathleen has well stated, because this is, second comment, the emphasis is on community forums. Third comment, in reviewing this for tonight, having done so much of the work with so many others for 12 years for the 2008 version, this whole idea of community forums and starting with 14-101 of the charter, I'm surprised how well the language in fact stands. So looking back there are some things that need discussion, but in the big picture, the layout for increase and assure, that's the legislative language, came from the city council, whatever. We knows what happens with legislative sausage, like permitted interaction groups. But in that regard, the overall powers, duties, and functions has stood up well in its particular emphasis on community forums. So,
Thank you. Okay, I guess we're closed out. I see Claire Santos. Claire, you want to offer something? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Lloyd, for bringing that up. I just want to point out that the more and more levels of government people, representatives we have at our neighborhood board meetings, the agendas get so bogged down that at the end of the day, there's no time for the community issues to come up. So I would suggest, and again, thank you, Lloyd, I would suggest people rethink the mandatory agenda items so that there is actual time and the board chairs aren't cutting people off who come to the meetings to present their issues. We've gotten really bogged down with all these other layers of government giving presentations, and so many times they just send a representative and they put something in the chat box. So, Lloyd brings up a good point. It's time to maybe rethink how we're running these meetings and who should be there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to address that, Claire.
Okay, go ahead.
It's an agenda issue on how an agenda is formed, and I think that's something that we should take up at a separate time, but yeah. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you lower Claire's hand? Okay, so I think the committee has decided we will preserve the language we had, or we have now. So next we can move on to section 102, which is the general powers, duties, and functions of the board. The boards are responsible for actively participating in the functions and processes of government by identifying and addressing, communicating, and seeking solutions to neighborhood issues and concerns, both within and with outside of their respective neighborhood areas. Their actions should reflect the needs, wants, and interests of the neighborhood. Boards may take the initiative in selecting and prioritizing their activities and provide reasonable means to increase and ensure effective citizen participation in the decisions of government. So before we get to B, are there any thoughts? Anyone want to offer any thoughts about section A? Go ahead, Tom.
thank you, Chair. Just very briefly, I wanted to emphasize one thing, and that is that statement of their actions, referring to the boards, should reflect the needs, wants, and interests of the neighborhood, goes back to the very beginning. So there are certain elements that draw from the much earlier neighborhood plans of the commission. And So that sentence itself kind of stands out because it's a little bit different in the way it's said, but it absolutely is that heritage, that legacy language in all of this. But in terms of this sentence, and then several things that follow in the next, the other key is really the role of the boards in not just being community forums, but also in initiating discussions and proposals, that kind of stuff. So that shows up here in several places as well. But this one is, I don't think I have any additions to make at this point here at the start of the discussion.
Thank you.
Stands well.
Next up, I see Greg Marsikian, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the chance to make a comment on this. Let me just pull up the section. I just want to introduce a thought here. Being a former Waikiki neighborhood board member for 2.5 years, what I recognized, and you were just talking about it earlier about the agenda, that the chair creates the agenda. Well, first words under this section A, it says the boards are responsible. The boards, not the chair, are responsible for actively participating in the functions and processes of government, identifying, addressing, communicating, and seeking solutions to neighborhood issues and concerns, both within and outside of their respective neighborhood areas. Their actions should reflect the needs. This is the most important part of this, the needs, wants, and interests of the neighborhood. And I'll stop there. But on agenda, as an example, when I was trying to get an Alawai Bridge project on agenda numerous times that the community really wanted to discuss, and there were presentations waiting to be made, it wasn't happening. And it was a battle back and forth without going into any details. The chair did not want it. The community wanted it.
Greg,
so
Greg,
with that,
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt. We are actually going to get to the issue with agenda. Obviously, that's a sore point. There are a lot of issues with sore points with the agenda, both with the chair having, I guess, the ability, the seemingly very heavy ability of making the agenda that we will talk about.
That's right.
So
And I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
I was done, Chair. I just was
Thank you.
wrapped up, but I just wanted to let you know that
Okay.
when you read this, when you get to that section, go back to this section, because this is the most important part of this. It's very, very clear. It's at the top of the section talking about what the purpose of this is, right below that. And I think it's just imperative and important that it resonates to everyone. So hopefully it resonates to the commission. I know it resonates to me. I believe it resonates to others that are participating. Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask, and I know the speaker before you went on about that, so I'm sorry to cut you off, or at least good you're finished. But I would ask if you're okay with the language, kind of just hold that thought about, because obviously there are lots of issues that people have concerns about with how the boards operate. And we're going to go step by step through this, and please hold those thoughts to the particular language. If you're not sure, bring it up and we can talk about it. But if you're okay with the language, then let's move forward. Okay, so I would just respectfully ask that. Dylan.
I just want to add a really quick comment. It's not necessarily about the language, but what the language means. And so, and this is just philosophical for right now, but it says should reflect the needs, wants, and interest of the neighborhood. Just throwing it out there of like, to me, that's kind of like a quantitative statement, should reflect the needs. Like, how is that quantified by a neighborhood board? And so that's just something to think about, Graham.
Well, I mean, my response would be it's interpretative, and if a board member who's elected by the, essentially elected by the community, they think it's important to the neighborhood, it becomes important to the neighborhood.
So,
and I mean, the other board members could trump that and say, no, it's not.
So if like not a single person in that community shows up to a meeting, but a board member just says, I want this thing to happen in my neighborhood, like that's.
Well, but we have to remember a lot of boards, it depends on, if there are a lot of problems in a neighborhood, you're probably going to get more people come to the meeting. If everything's going pretty swimmingly, most people are going to do other things, maybe. I don't know. So I don't know if participation is necessarily reflective of whether an issue.
Sure, an increase.
Well, I know, it is.
I can speak for our board.
Okay, go ahead.
have a lot of people that call us up and say, hey, I have board members calling me, oh, I got this complaint from a community. So a good board who trusts their board members, a community will follow up with them and say, can you help me with this? Can you bring this up at a board meeting? Now, maybe sometimes they can show up, maybe they can't. But that to me is what board members do.
Yeah, and I had an instance, just a personal instance where like someone wanted to put a project in the neighborhood. And I asked them, I said, did you ask anyone from the community? Their honest answer was no. So the city could have made a decision to put something in the neighborhood that board member wanted, but didn't ask a single other person.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with
Yeah.
a similar issue right now where somebody wanted a tree to go bye-bye and now
Yeah.
it's become a thing.
So
Yeah,
it's more
yeah,
just a
no.
philosophical for right now, if they're out there, what does that mean, you know?
But good board members, and I think this is where training comes in, good board members will look at the whole picture and talk to everybody and get both sides of it, but I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
It happens all the time, you're right, it always happens.
right. Okay. All right, so I think even philosophical issues besides, I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of that, just saying. I think we're okay with the language. I apologize. I Googled the FUBAR, how I said that. The power, we can move on to section B, and I'll just split this kind of in half, just so we can talk about it. But the powers, duties, and functions of the board shall include: one, increase and ensure effective citizen participation in the decisions of government by providing additional and improved opportunities for public input and interaction, and communicating that input to the appropriate persons and agencies. That's a kind of long one. Initiate, review, comment, and make recommendations concerning any general plan development and sustainable community plan, zoning, planning, permitting, and other land use issues within the city. Go through 4, just to let you know. Identify, prioritize, review, comment, and make recommendations concerning any government capital improvement project, proposal, plan, or project. 4, assist with evaluation of the efficiency and effectiveness of government services and programs, whether provided by the government agencies or their contractors. Does anyone wish to make a comment on those first 4? Okay, well, I can just,
I know what we do.
go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Chair. First, was already stated earlier in this meeting, land use was one of the original main focuses right from the beginning of the neighborhood board system. And a lot of that is reflected in these first 4. In terms of today, there may be interest in adding language to be clear of what policies may be. I'll take a look there, but policies are referred to. But the other thing too as well is whether in any of section B, any mention of technology is appropriate. It does fit in with improving citizen access or whatever, but how we're conducting this evening's meeting with WebEx, things like that, I'm sorry, in 2008 wasn't on the
So
table.
where would you recommend putting that then?
I'd have to take a look to see where it might fit in, either singularly or in a couple of.
So basically, you're saying something that says including technology to use it for effective participation, et cetera.
Possibly in number 1.
That would be fine, but you have to remember, technology does change. Sometimes you put technical specifications in there, then it changes. And technology is really just a tool. It's not the actual function.
I think they just used it broad, like they don't say WebEx, they'll say teleconferencing technology.
Yeah, but even
which-
then, go ahead. Claire, I'll get to you in a moment. Go ahead, Lloyd.
I understand the detail of trying to get that type of language in there. I've never known a board to be restricted in what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not suggesting that the specificity.
So I don't think we need to make it like this is part of, no, I like the fact that the board feel they can talk about anything, whatever is important to that community, they should be able to talk about.
Thank you. Go ahead, Claire, please.
Okay, thank you again, Chair. Section 2 through 5 for me just seems like neighborhood boards are taking on an oversight position over government. It's just the way the language sets with me. And the only thing I really don't understand is the make recommendations part, because I got caught in that with trying to do a resolution about an intersection, and the chair wanted recommendations for how to solve the problem. I'm not a traffic engineer. It's not my scope of function to make recommendations on how a traffic pattern should be adjusted. So the language is a little bit, I don't want to say sketchy, but the make recommendations part, I feel like it should be softened somehow to share ideas or something instead of making recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Jacob Winsek, go ahead, please.
Hey, aloha, Jacob Winsek here. Thanks for calling on me. I do want to convey, I've read this section a few times now, the specific one we're going over, and I think that, without belaboring the point, we can probably chop this down to really one paragraph. We don't need a bunch of subsections in there to make the neighborhood boards seem more of what they are. I think a simple paragraph, less than a paragraph, of the neighborhood boards are a community advisory, consultative liaison entity, sort of gets us there. And we can put some other language in there. But a lot of these different subsections here just seem like we're saying the same thing over again in different formulations. So I'd like the committee to let's consider merging all this one paragraph, make it a little bit shorter, a little bit more to the point, and then keep pressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see, Greg, before we get to you, let me just go ahead and read out the rest. There are only 3 left, and that is, so number 5 is initiate review, comment, and make recommendations concerning any other substantive issue reasonably related to the processes or decisions of government. 6 is encourage understanding of the decision-making process of government. And then lastly, number 7, encourage the role of the board as public. Encourage the role of the board as a public and an informational forum on community and governmental issues. With that said, Greg, you had your hand up. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Chair. Just a short comment on this section, and it's all inclusive of to the end of that you just read. I think it's important to know when we look at this that it's a legal framework, and I don't say the word legal lightly. I think it's a legal framework for what the board is allowed to do. So maybe this is something that Tom can opine on, but I think it's important to not make it vague, but to make it enough substantive enough to be able to be followed. And if there's something that comes up later where somebody challenges what the board's authority, the board can go say, this is our authority. If it's vague, then you might have a legal challenge to even a recommendation that could potentially turn into some kind of a project that moves forward because the board, authorized saying that we are for this project, or we support it. So I just think it's important to remember it's a legal framework.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I disagree that it's a legal framework. However, I think the language is extremely important to keep as is, because it does allow, it's not so much I'm worried about a city agency coming back to us and challenging, but we'll get people who say, oh, well, you boards have no authority over this. And I can point to this and say, yes, we do. You need to come to us and talk to us. So Jacob, I totally appreciate what you're saying, and thank you for your comments. But from my experience on the board, it's really super important that we can use this to go back to people and say, no, you need to come to us, and you need to talk to us, or you need to work with us, because we do have the ability to make recommendations on planning issues. For my community, planning and development issues are a huge, huge problem, and we need all the support we can get. And so I love the language. I think actually everything in here in this section is great, and I personally don't see any need for any changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we're take a comment from Bob Finley. Go ahead, Bob.
Gotta hit the mute button.
We hear you.
I agree with the language. However, I would like some definition about what our city agencies can ask of us. In many cases, we're being asked to consider a city project in 10 minutes that is 5,000 pages thick. And we're asked to come back and make a decision. And I think we need to kind of trim that down to an opinion, not a decision. I don't know, it just feels like we're being used for public hearings to save the city money. And we're, all of a sudden we're the bad guys. We said yes or no, but actually we're not. We're just trying to figure out what the heck the city's asking of us. Just a thought.
Thank you. I mean, I would comment, and Kathleen's the chair, she knows that the boards are entitled, we're just advisory. So the boards are entitled to say, we don't know enough about this, or, if there's if it's some really voluminous proposal that there's just no appreciable way a non-expert can weigh in, then you say that. Just say there's no way for us to weigh in. So I'm not sure that, I think we need to change. Kathleen, do you have a thought about that?
Well, I appreciate, thanks, Bob. Thank you for the comment. At least from my personal experience, my board has no shortage of opinions, recommendations, or decision-making. And we like the opportunity and the ability to render our decision on these things. Because again, been reading the papers, the North Shore has a lot of stuff going on right now. And my board is absolutely militant about weighing in on these things. And we will work with DPP and say, okay, we need more time on this, or we need a better way of handling this. And then making those people come to us and weighing in on it. So I hear what you're saying, Bob. And sometimes you're right. We get stuff and it's like, what the heck are they talking about? But I think Patrick's right. Sometimes we just have to say, we can't deal with this. But other times I think we need to be able to have that ability. So the thing I like about the language here, it does give us that flexibility and allows the boards to make those decisions in a very unique, and again, as Patrick pointed out, we are only advisory. Ultimately, we don't have the force of law, but I'd like to say, at least as far as my board is concerned, we have the force of public opinion.
And we do represent our community.
And we do represent, exactly.
Okay, thank you. With that said, Stephen, I'll get to you in a second. I think Michelle had her hand up first. So Michelle, please go ahead.
Thank you, Patrick. I fully agree with Kathleen again. We need to have full advance notice of projects within our community districts. We cannot have these last minute things during the holidays that always occur when we don't have board meetings, or when we have monthly board meetings, when it takes us 2 or 3 board meetings and committee meetings to go over these projects. We must be more respected by the city departments with their proposals, especially DPP. And I'm sorry, I can't emphasize it any more than that, but we have been shortchanged in time, timing, and ability to respond as a full board on many projects within our area, which are extremely concerning because we have preservation districts. We have definite DPP zoning districts, which are proposed to be annihilated by high density. I mean, this is ridiculous. We need advance notice. We need to be respected for the time it takes us to make recommendations. And that's what it would be. It would be a community district recommendation to the department for whatever reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to reflect back what Kathleen was saying. I concur with her that, the power of the boards, the last 10 years being chairman is for the neighborhood board for Middle and Malcolm. Remember some years ago when Department of Public Safety wanted to put LCCC up in the Middle Tech Center. And our neighborhood board is usually an hour and a half, hour and a half. And instantly it was 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And it went on. And we had more than one, we had meetings on a weekly basis, not just a monthly basis, to handle that, to the point where true, we don't make law, but we had all the representatives there like right with us. And it was at our board after 2 3-hour meetings that we decided. I turned to the chair, Dean Hazam at the time was chairing it. I asked, what do you want to do? And he said, well, we need to stop this, because the community was up in an uproar and just about having a jail, OCCC there within walking distance of the playgrounds for the children, the safety issue, people were concerned about the home values going down, just very inflammatory. But the neighborhood board is like the kettle on the stove. Okay, the community heats up, but then we're there to allow them to vent and then come down and then come to a consensus of what I turned to Dean, asked him, what do you want to do? And he said, well, let's write a letter. Well, we couldn't write a letter to ask him not to consider bringing a OCCC to our community. So I wrote a letter to the governor and then gave it to Dean, gave it to the commission, and went to the governor, and that was stopped. And what it ended up is that instead of us being at the top of the list to move OCCC, we ended up going to the bottom of the list. And then Senator De La Cruz gave several million for design consideration, and they ended up moving it where it should have been in the beginning, over at the old the quarantine center. So I agree that, our community is peaceful, but all the communities, I don't think the neighborhood boards after the last 10 years really realize the power they have with the voice of the community. It's formidable. It's formidable. And the neighborhood board and the language that we just discussed I look at it like a diamond. A diamond, the value of the diamond is based on facets. So the language that we just read are the facets of the board. And each of them is important, because without them, it becomes dull. And so I would endorse it once again, is what Kathleen said, to remain with the language.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Thank you. So I don't hear any movement by the committee members to make any changes to this language. Thank you. That's notwithstanding any other comments. Thank you for your insights. So we're going to move on to section C, and that is boards in compliance with this plan and other applicable law may communicate and cooperate with each other, especially on a regional basis, to promote general awareness and understanding of issues of mutual concern, explore opportunities for collaboration, and foster beneficial relationships to further increase and assure effective citizen participation in the decisions of government.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Is
Change.
everybody happy with that? Okay, no comments? Okay, section D. Each board may express its neighborhood's views, opinions, or advice on matters within the scope of the board's jurisdiction to properly fulfill its duty. No deference is required of a board to any other board. I guess that's good language.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody happy with that? Good. Boards may cooperate and collaborate with persons, agencies, and community organizations so long as the cooperation and collaboration does not exceed the powers, duties, and functions of the boards as allowed by law. Okay. Good. Then finally, the commission shall provide reasonable assistance and reasonable operating expenses for the boards for the performance of their duties, our powers, duties, and functions. Well, we provide assistance and reasonable. Yeah, there actually are a lot of operating expenses that are covered. So I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry. It's not meant to be. Is everybody happy with that language? I see a couple people. All right, a few people. Let me go to the online first. So go ahead, Kevin. Good to see you, by the way. Safe travels. But go ahead, please. Did we lose you? Okay, well, when you come back. Greg Marsakian, please go ahead, Greg. Greg?
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Oh.
hold on. I'm having trouble starting my video. Okay, it was like giving me a little bit of
Okay, you're all good. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for that. And Kevin, he's on, I could see he was on the train. I know he's in Malaysia, so I think he's got a issue with being able to speak. I was amazed that he had video there while he's on a train. So yeah, I think what's important, I'm sorry, let me just go to the section. I lost my train of thought as we came on. This, I think maybe there should be some clarification when it says the commission. I had problems when I tried to get assistance. And so it says the commission shall, not may, shall provide reasonable assistance. I didn't felt like I got reasonable assistance in a number of cases, in many cases actually. And I know there's others that share that concern. So maybe this is an area to look at where there can be a little bit more verbiage or, takes you to something else, but there needs to be some clear cut assistance for board members when they have a concern. This will help mitigate complaints and this will help improve the process for everyone. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. The problem is probably the reasonableness of a request is probably within the purview of the commission itself to determine, and, in conjunction with the NCO. So yeah, I can understand if people don't agree with that, but someone has to make that decision. And so if you have any specific language that you would like to submit, please feel free and we can circle back. And as with all our process, just because we've concluded it for this meeting and we move on, it doesn't mean that it's done. Everybody's willing, is able to submit language and to make recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say
Michelle.
one? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I say one last quick
Michelle.
thing?
Go ahead.
Very
Follow
quick.
up.
I apologize. Just very quick. I just put in the chat earlier that this is a legal framework. I know that was mentioned that this is not a legal framework, but the neighborhood plan, and you're an attorney, so you can correct me if
Yes,
think I'm
it
wrong.
is. I agree. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say we can't, as the commissioners here in person, we can't see what's in the chat, just so everybody knows. But we can look at that after, so. And sometimes, and a lot of times we don't, so it's not like we're trying to ignore anybody, but we just don't see that, just so everybody knows, please. So with that said, Michelle, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Patrick. Just a quick comment here following Greg's comments. The NCO should not make decisions. The decisions should be made by the commission. The NCO, Neighborhood Commission Office, serves the commission and it serves the boards. The commission is the ultimate decision maker for the plan that guides our boards, as well as anything that NCO should come up with their independent proposals for policies that obviously the commission never accepted. So let's get it straight. It's the commission that has the authority, not the NCO. Thank you.
Thank you. It does say the commission, so thank you. With that said, then we can move on to one.
Chair, sorry to interrupt, but.
No, go ahead, please.
How much longer do you want to continue?
Well, why don't we,
Because I think some of the stuff coming up personally for me, I think will engender a lot more conversation, especially things like conflict of interest. I want to make sure that the commission and the audience has enough time to discuss those issues.
okay, well, let me
It's
ask.
getting a little late.
Okay, I see that. Do you think the political activity, I mean, is there a lot in there that might engender a?
I don't know. It could.
Well, why don't we?
I think Kyle is back.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. Kevin, go ahead. Yeah, and he is on a train. I talked to him. Go ahead, Kevin. I know it.
But back to, thank you, Chair. Just regarding sections C, D, and E, if the committee would entertain that these appear to be fairly redundant and duplicative with what's in section B. If we're trying to trim things down, I wonder if any of C, D, and E tell anything new or unique or not that could be presumed or assumed from what's in section B. And I've always just been very curious about what the last or second sentence of section D is all about, why that was ever added in about one board needing to defer to another. Was there some history behind that? I wonder if Mr. Heinrich might recall such. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it would be in there either, but it's certainly just confirming something that probably should already be understood. Tom, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, specifically to that question, I have other things later when you recognize. Specifically to that, there were instances in which some boards very strongly took a position that, excuse me, this is in their district. We do not wish to opine, whether that was somewhat differential or whether it was in a certain case, couple of cases. Also, we just want to avoid that issue, let them deal with it. So it kind of cut both ways. But also when you look at section 2-13-107, representative capacity of board members, there's also the statement in there right from the beginning that each member of a board shall represent the entire district and then more, because I've dealt with individuals that felt very strongly, I was elected from this sub-district and I'm not even supposed to talk about things in other sub-districts. So it's amazing what the starting point is. There's tremendous diversity among the board members. And so both of these statements working together in different places is the whole point being each neighborhood board has its own voice to the exclusion, if you will, of all others. It's their opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, Kevin, as he's always done before, if you have some specific thoughts, let us know. You've provided great responses before, so with that said, we will move on. I don't know if what is the favor of the committee members as far as moving forward? Do you think we should call it now?
I think we should call it, because I want to make sure.
Okay.
Starting to get it,
Yeah.
has nodding her head, yes. Tim.
Okay, so I see it is, so we will curtail our discussion of chapter 13 at this time, and we will move into section 104 at our next meeting, and then that will be the subject of a conversation in just a moment. But are there any last comments about any of these sections before we finish? Claire, go ahead.
Oh, thank you again, Chair. Just to say, in listening to all the responses and interpretations, I'm realizing each neighborhood board is running in a different way. I'd like to move to the North Shore and be with the militants instead of the ones who are. I'm moving up north. I don't want to be where the board is promoting hyper dense towers, but it's a learning experience for me. So I have my thoughts about this, that, and the next thing, but I want to just give my appreciation that each board is running a little bit differently, has a little different sense of responsibility, not just reading, evaluating resolutions. So I'm just going to continue to listen at tonight's and every meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So, Tom, did you want to go ahead?
Two quick comments. First, the break, you said 104, it would be starting with 103, the political activity. And then just
Yeah,
one,
103. Sorry, I didn't have my glasses on, so you're right.
and just one quick comment about 213-102F, about reasonable assistance and reasonable operating expenses. I'm reminded of the comment that sometimes in brevity there is wit.
Yeah.
And in those few words is that whole distinction between whatever gets into the budget through the whole city administration's process, et cetera, from the city council and the rest of that. Then it's a matter of how that budget that supports the entirety of the activities for the neighborhood board system, and recognizing how much is given by the volunteers and out of pocket and everything else as a different element of that. But as a brief statement, it is that requirement as reflected also in the city charter that for all the departments, et cetera, the city council and the administration working together is to make sure that there is at least reasonable support. Beyond that, then it's your annual budget battle. Thanks.
Thank you. So just a overall reminder of the process, and I will let everybody know, and everybody probably realizes this is, you know, when we do this initial reason, it is very helpful for whoever is going to be over kind of drafting, making corrections. We didn't make a lot of corrections, so it won't be a problem. But it's good for us to have a sense of what all the committee members, their vision, and also the responses we get from the public to kind of draft the specific language. So if you have language that you want to give, that's, you know, you're perfectly willing. We have Tom and Kevin Lai has been very helpful in that respect. If, however, and I know a lot of people they're not attorneys, they don't, you know how to draft something, but if they have, if you have a feeling, you know, like, hey, I think this section should do this, let us know, or let Chair Veray know. And that way, you know, we can come up with a response. We can incorporate the, you know, ideas that that the committee accepts, and if we don't, then at least we'll respond to it and say, well, you know, this is the reason we don't want to accept that sort of thing. So we're still early in the process. We want to get the public input. You know, that's really important because collectively we come up with the best ideas. You know, if I do it or Larry does on his own, we're not going to come up with a great draft. So we need everybody's participation, and we welcome that. And so please let us know whatever thoughts and concerns you have. With that, thank you very much. We can move on. I think we just have our announcements. I will let you know, as Tom graciously pointed out, we are recessing in December, but our regularly scheduled meeting is on Martin Luther King Day. So we will not have it on that day. And so we can, most likely we can move to the 12th, which is the Monday before. There was a suggestion on here of Tuesday, but we generally don't like to do other days of the week simply because, you know, we have committee meetings and that might conflict with some of our members and members of the public that want to attend. So is Monday the 12th suitable, Mahia? Is that okay? You know,
Works for me.
if you give a thumbs up or thumbs down, Mahia, can you hear me? Is that okay? The 12th?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that as an okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thumbs up.
so we're gonna meet here at the same time, same place, 6 o'clock, both online, and all that will be sent out. I would remind everybody to check the shared drive. And also, the chair, it does email out. If you want to receive those emails, please email at the nco@honolulu.gov address and say that you want to be added to the Neighborhood Planning Committee email list, and then you will get those emails too. So, you know, those emails are sent out to the board, to the committee members and the public. And with that, are there any other announcements, Tom?
Just one reminder of, I haven't even done this myself yet in the last few days, but the Charter Commission, the deadline for submitting proposals was November 7th. That's passed. I got a short email from staff saying they got over 225. So I need to start taking a look at
Actually, it
it.
was almost 300.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
unless they've called some for lack of whatever.
Could be.
Yeah.
And the door is not 100% closed. The Charter Commission members. Excellent, thank you. I love 11 by 17. Anyway, start taking a look because I expect there are some proposals that do relate to the neighborhood board system.
There are.
Thank you. And
Tom.
just so you know that the Neighborhood Commission opted not to make any recommendations at this year or this term or whatever you call it, turnaround. Okay, all right, with that, are there any other announcements?
Nope.
With that, I'll
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
very much so. Have a safe and happy New Year's, all right, and New Year's and Christmas also, because we won't be meeting next month. So we will see everybody in January. Thank you very much. I'll adjourn the meeting.